Hello, I'm Kamal Santamaria. This is Counting the Cost on Al Jazeera, your weekly look at the world of business and finance. This week, all about aviation at the Dubai Airshow. Coming up, the deals that shattered all airshow records and put the Gulf carriers, Etihad, Emirates and Qatar Airways, right at the forefront of global aviation. And also the world of military spending. A lot of money to be made there, everything from fighter jets to unmanned drones. It's all on show and on sale. So welcome to Dubai, everyone. Lovely to have you along for our biennial trip to the Dubai Airshow. This time at a brand new venue. It's the Al Maktoum International Airport in Dubai, which isn't even online yet. When it does come up to full capacity, it will, in all likelihood, be the busiest airport in the world, which underlines, doesn't it, just how important Dubai and this airshow have become to the global aviation sector. Well, we thought there were going to be some big deals at this airshow. We had an inkling that a few billions might be dropped, but really day one was a huge surprise. $192.3 billion in orders, and it was those big Gulf carriers who really led the way on that first day with that record-breaking number of orders. We're going to take you through that in this show. We're also going to look at the world of military and defense spending. But before all of that, well, we're at an air show, and someone did ask me a little bit earlier on, what exactly is an air show? So why don't we show you? So without stating the obvious, an air show is anything to do with the aviation sector, and that's what we want to illustrate here. The fact that, yes, if you're a big airline, you can come and buy 50 Boeing jets if you want, but if you're the tiniest player in the aviation sector as well, there's probably something for you as well here. So come on, we'll go and have a look. See, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. Anything you need to build a plane. These are the most industrial-sized drill bits you'll probably ever see in your life. But think about it, if you want to make a big plane, you're going to need a big drill as well. So anything from this sort of level to this. Absolutely no mistaking what's going on here. This is a whole other side of the air show, the military hardware side. Basically the latest missile technology and the likes. Drones are a big thing this year, and we're going to see some of those later in the program as well. It literally is anything to do with aviation, anything that can go on a plane or a helicopter, or that can be part of the whole industry. And though it has the feel of a video game, which I'm perhaps not playing particularly well, this is a serious piece of kit. It's a BOT flight simulator, which costs about $60,000 and is used for training or selling on to flight aviation schools for learner pilots, people clearly a bit more experienced than I am, though. I should probably look what I'm doing here. But it's serious business as well. You know, a lot of these companies even go to the point of setting up their own actual boardrooms here, like you'd find in their offices, to do these sorts of business deals. So many opportunities at a place like the Dubai Airshow for anyone involved in the aviation sector. And one tiny little tip as well, if you ever need a USB flash drive, this is the place to come for them. The way technology has changed, you don't get press releases so much anymore. Everything's put on a thumb drive. We've been given about, I'd say, 10 of these in the few hours that we've been here already. So there you go. That's a little look around the airshow. So as you see, plenty on offer for, well, any type of aviation customer really, but it is those big deals which really do make the headlines. And I mean, if you're talking headlines, we've got them here. Billionaires says show business, Billionaires Club, the show news from Aviation Week, Dubai, buy, with all the billions of dollars there. Huge amount spent, and as I mentioned before, it was the Gulf carriers who really did it all. I'm going to run you through a few of them now. It was Emirates who really took the headlines. First of all, the host airline, if you like. Emirates, $76 billion on 150 of the new Boeing 777X planes, and $23 billion on 50 A380s, the super jumbos. It'll have 140 of those by the time it's done. Etihad, a big mover. Etihad from Abu Dhabi, $25.2 billion on up to 82 Boeing planes, and then another 26 or almost 27 billion on 87 Airbus planes. Etihad did some big deals. Qatar Airways also a letter of intent, $19 billion worth of Boeing 777X planes, 50 of those as well. But as I mentioned, its home show, it was Emirates that really stole the show. We had a chance to catch up with the president of Emirates Airlines, Tim Clark. Tell us about, if you would, financing these planes, because I'm trying to sort of debunk the myths or clarify it here. The idea that, well, at the extreme end, that you and the other Gulf carriers are completely funded by your governments and have carte blanche to buy whatever you want, or at the more moderate end, that you have government backing and that the governments understand that aviation growth is a big part of expansion of any country. Where do you sit on the spectrum? How do you pay for all these planes?
For us, the second part of the question is yes, the governments understand the criticality of aviation in their national business model. So It sits a lot higher in their priorities than it may do in the US or in Europe, and that's a great thing. As far as Emirates is concerned, that's as far as it goes. We have enormous support from the government. They go out of their way to do all sorts of things, but they don't provide us any money. So you ask about financing these aircraft, and we've been asked that question for the last 25 years. And each time we order large numbers, they say, where are you going to fly them, and how are you going to pay for them, and is the government subsidizing you, etc. We know where we're going to fly them. We know that the government will give us no subsidies or no money. We have recourse to a multitude of debt instruments, which includes our own cash resources, because we are fortunately been able to build up a large amount of cash on our balance sheet. So we don't contemplate having any kind of difficulties. And more recently, we've gone into the Islamic markets with Sukuks. As the Islamic markets become less conservative in their concerns about asset-based collateral, but for Emirates, the ability to raise bonds in the Sukuks, in the Islamic markets, and pin that money against a multitude of requirements, whether it be fleet or work, has been very highly successful for us. As long as we remain profitable, as long as the cash is strong, as long as the balance sheets remain strong, our brand is pretty powerful, not just in the rest of the world, but here. And a lot of investors want to be part of it.
So then you're operating like any other major business does in how you finance it. But we've got a situation where you and Etihad and Qatar Airways are exerting huge dominance in this market. What are you doing differently? What is this region doing differently to be making these sorts of profits and to be able to expand so much more than the legacy carriers do?
Yeah, I guess you've got to look at the legacy carriers and ask yourselves why they are not making money. And I think a lot of that will be explained if you look at the differences in the business models, the way we go about running our business, the processes that we have. And it's not just about the business model itself, but that in itself is a major kicker in the difference between what they do and what we do. But they have legacy issues, and I'm kind of sympathetic to them. They have difficulties, and most of them are moved from state ownership to private ownership. But when they crossed the great Rubicon into the private era, a lot of the legacy processes and practices and the way they engineered their companies remain. So they were able to put IT, information technology, into the companies in a big way, but on top of older systems and processes. And the ability to change those out to move into the 21st century has been difficult for them. We don't have those problems. We came to market effectively in the late 80s, early 90s. We learnt a lot from the older carriers as to how not to do things. I'm not being disingenuous to them, I'm just saying we could see the pitfalls because some of us have been working in them. And we're able to cobble that to a business model that was fairly unique, given that nobody had really come up with a truly global hub concept which connected. And of course the geocentricity of Dubai was not lost on us in the very first early planning days of the airline. So hey-ho, we were pretty lucky that China took off, that India took off, that Oceania took off, that Europe started to move, America, etc. Then of course when it went south in 2008, 2009, we had a network which was so well spread and extensive that we were able to deal with the recessionary pressures we felt in various markets. So as the Eurozone went south more recently, we were able to move business in other areas to fill the seats. You know, we're pretty nimble, we're pretty quick about what we do. When we decide to order aeroplanes, the numbers that we do, we took those decisions, carefully planned, but the manufacturers had no idea, particularly Airbus, what we were going to do with the 380s until about a week ago.
Just a final thought, Tim, on the state of the current aviation industry. Again, 2 years ago when we spoke, it was all about oil prices up above $100 a barrel and getting used to that. Europe was still a problem. It's probably actually not that much better now than it was then. How is all this affecting the aviation sector to you?
The interesting thing about it, in the last 6 months, the Eurozone has come back with us, come back very strongly. And whereas the Asian markets have softened, cargo is starting to come back again. So there is some litmus test results now which are telling us that things are starting to move up. Dip, but upwards. When you see Greece start to move and Spain start to move, we know we're in good shape.
Then you'll know the recovery's in place, yeah.
So we remain optimistic, and what we have done, as you've probably seen, we never downsize. We hold, we take whatever pain we have to take, so when the good times come back again, we're ready for it. So all the stakeholders are engaged with us, whether it be the travel trade, multiple entities in the aerospace side of things. They know that they can rely on us to tough it out. And that's what we've done. So the New York operation is just unbelievable. The London operation, we have 5 380s a day going into Heathrow and then 3 777s to Gatwick. The 5 380s a day into Heathrow are completely full, 517 seats up. And so through all of this, through all the bad times, there are some indicators that tell us now that things are starting to move ahead. We're optimistic. I don't suppose that everybody shares our optimism, but that's the way we look at it.
So that was the story of Emirates Airlines, one of its major competitors, of course, in this region. It's where we're from, in Doha, Qatar Airways. Still growing at a very strong rate as well. In fact, taking delivery of one new plane every 15 days is what it's been doing for some time now. Here's our chat with the CEO of Qatar Airways, Akbar Al-Bakr.
We are only ordering aeroplanes that are required for our expansion and also fleet replacement. If you notice that all these large aircraft orders that we have placed will not be available to us for the next 8 to 10 years. So we plan ahead to make sure that we have fuel efficient, environmentally friendly, and modern aeroplanes in the fleet, as we always keep our average fleet age very young.
Even so, were you, and I don't know if impressed is the right word, but were you impressed with what Emirates did yesterday? It was a huge order of planes.
Well, I'm very impressed whenever I see one of our Gulf carriers are flourishing, are ordering more aeroplanes, and of course competing in the aviation world equally with the big mega carriers.
But what about the company that's selling a lot of these planes? We talked about Emirates having a great air show. Boeing obviously had a great trip as well, selling upwards of 200 planes in that first frenetic day of the Dubai Airshow. Randy Tinseth, who is in the marketing division of Boeing Commercial Airplanes, joined us for a chat on board one of Qatar Airways' Boeing 787s.
Oh, there's no question about it. And when you think about the Gulf carriers, if we think about wide-body aircraft, over the next 20 years, about 15% of the worldwide demand for wide bodies is here in the Middle East, and of course the Gulf carriers are the biggest part of that. The backlog that we have at Boeing today is about 4,800 airplanes. That backlog, 4,800.
So almost 5,000 airplanes.
Almost 5,000 airplanes, and that runs really into the middle of the next decade. These are long-lived assets. It takes a number of years to bring those new airplanes to the market. Our customers have patience, and they're making these huge investments because they're going to fly those airplanes for a long time. And the 777X we're talking about, you know, that airplane won't make its first flight until 2019, won't make its first delivery to 2020.
So obviously a very successful air show it was for Boeing, and we do focus a lot on this sort of battle, the perennial battle between Boeing and Airbus, but there is life beyond the two big plane makers. There's Canada's Bombardier, which competes regularly for third place with another company called Embraer from Brazil. We caught up with them as well.
So Embraer is a Brazilian company. It was founded 44 years ago, which makes Embraer an older company than Airbus, for example. So we have been around for quite a while. Our business is based on 3 business units: commercial aviation, and basically some jets from 30 to 120 seats.
Okay.
And that accounts for about 2/3 of the revenues of the company. Executive jets, and you have some of our executive jets exposed here at the Dubai Airshow. And then defense and security, these 2 later business units representing about 15% each of the turnover of the company.
And who are your major clients?
We have about 65 customers around the world, and that includes all the big names that one would think about. Some of the leading European airlines, Lufthansa, Air France, KLM, Air Canada, for example. Here in the Middle East, we have a very good footprint with 62% market share on the segment from 60 to 120 seats. And we have customers which include Egyptair, Royal Jordanian, Saudia, Oman Air.
So are you aiming at a market by that capacity of plane that the two bigger players don't really look after, and this is your niche there?
Exactly. We're not competing with Airbus and Boeing. We're providing to airlines a different kind of solution. We have broken the paradigms of regional aviation. You know, regional aircraft is no longer a small aircraft and comfortable for very short sectors. We've had a lot of different applications of 5 hours flights on this type of product, and the comfort is there, the performance is there to enable this kind of applications. So that's the key of the success of the company.
You're obviously a global business. I mean, aviation is a global business, but you're a Brazilian company, and we've heard so much about the growth of Brazil over the last few years. Tell me how Embraer feeds back into the Brazilian economy.
So Embraer has been one of the top exporters of Brazil over the last 10, 15 years. It was actually the #1 exporter at the beginning of the decade. And aviation, you know, having such a developed technological company in Brazil is a big pride for the Brazilian. It's a French person telling you this, but with a Brazilian heart right now. And it's been a great success for Embraer over the years to demonstrate, you know, how a technological company coming from an emerging country has been so successful over the world, and it has become a showcase for a lot of different businesses.
Tell me then about how you grow the business, because if you're talking about a very sort of narrow capacity that you serve, that you provide, the planes that you provide. I mean, Boeing and Airbus are building bigger and faster jets and more fuel efficient jets, and that's how they're growing their business. How do you do it within that sort of narrow band?
So what we think small is beautiful. So we're definitely not competing once again with Airbus and Boeing, but we have become very strong market leaders in these 60 to 120 seat application. We see a wide range of applications here in the Middle East, for example, but in many other parts of the world, where our fleet solutions could bring a lot of value to airlines. So commercial aviation is one way to grow Embraer, but as we said, you know, we have also very good potential in our other business units with very comprehensive product lines, and we feel, you know, we're here to grow even further in the years to come.
We're going to leave the commercial side of things there for now and start looking at military and defense spending, in particular drones. Things like this here. This is the big talking point this year, controversial at the best of times because of their use in conflict or otherwise. Come with me and we'll talk to Ali Al-Daheri, who's with ADCOM, who's designed the global Yabhon. Do you want to tell us about this first of all?
Yeah, definitely. This is the first time that global Yabhon entering or seen by the public. This aircraft is brand new, never seen, and this is the first model we have. And this is the biggest in the world, is reckoned by carrying capacities, by places where you put things, high altitude and long endurance, up to 40 hours. We equip it with long-range missiles, with torpedoes, and with other sensors like SAR radars and those. And this is all, most of them manufactured by the company.
I will say something looking at it. It is, and I think viewers might think this as well, it's quite
beautiful, don't make a mistake.
You could say beautiful, but a lot of people would say it's quite intimidating, quite sinister. It's got bombs strapped to it. What, can it do other things as well? Because people would just look at this and think it's a war machine.
That's a good news for you. We just, yesterday, we released an information that ADCOM system will release 200 million dirhams worth of equipment of unmanned aircraft for United Nations, for natural disasters, and for humanitarian aid.
So, for example, something like the Typhoon that we've just
Absolutely.
seen in Philippines, how would this be deployed? How could it be used?
We will try to organize meetings, and we try to scientists and professors and universities to do something to save lives. ADCOM system sign now, if we can save one human anywhere in the world, that will put us in a better position.
Is there not a conflict, though, with the fact that you're building a machine that can help lives and take away lives at the same, not in the same breath, but it's capable of both?
Well, I hope not. That's not our objective. But you know, to survive our company, we have to do something in military. But they are not really heavily used for a real engagement. This is for border controls, for drugs traffickers. Used for actually helping other people. This is we like to see the objective of those things. And definitely they have a military, I don't have to hide it, they have a military application.
And from pretty much the biggest drone we could find here to, well, basically the smallest one. This is a drone. You can see how light it is. I'm holding it with one hand. Doesn't need a runway. It's essentially a big dart. which you can throw. That's my very basic explanation of it. Yog Patella's with us from the company BlueBear to explain that. Why don't you take hold of it first of all and then explain to us how it works and what it does.
So iStart is a single operator system. It is designed to be easily deployed and get eyes in the sky for up to 40 minutes. You shake it to launch it, you go to the ground control station, say look here, land here. It is designed for high precision flight. Its landing accuracy is sub 10 meters. It has a variety of payloads, plug and play payloads. You can have a day-night operation, but you can unplug this and add another payload as and when you wish.
And only for I should hope only for surveillance purposes. Presumably you can't put anything more on that. But
it is purely for surveillance. It is eyes in the skies.
And
indeed.
what sort of interest has there been in this, company-wise for you?
Significant. This beast is very useful for border security, disaster relief. It has clearly military uses as well, but anywhere where you need agility, mobility, and an organic asset that isn't going to take too much infrastructure to deploy. So this packs into a backpack. One man can carry it. It's single operator.
And of course the big question, given that our program is called Counting the Cost, what's the cost of that?
The cost of this is all down to the payload.
Oh, okay.
This can cost up to 20,000 sterling. The airframe is the smaller part of that price.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Really interesting. Well, another company involved in the military side of things here at the Dubai Airshow is Dassault Aviation. And we've got Eric Trappier with us, the CEO of the company. Thank you so much for your time today. I want to talk about this first of all here. Drone technology is what we've been focusing on. This is, just judging by the flags there, we're looking at very much a collaborative European project here. Is that right?
Yes, we are in front of Neuron. Neuron is a UCAV. UCAV is a drone which is for combat. So the size of the Neuron is roughly the size of a Mirage 2000. Totally stealth, and that is a new, very important device. It's the first fighter in Europe totally stealth, and the only one for the time being. And number two is that we can control the missions with remote data links. This is the idea of the UCAV.
We've got the Rafale over here, and I was keen to talk to you about this because last time we came to Dubai we actually talked to your competitors. That is of course the Eurofighter Typhoon. This is doing well for you though, especially with that deal with the Indians?
Yes, as you know, the Rafale is combat proven, has been totally operated by the French forces, Air Force and the Navy, and in different conflicts well known. This
was in Libya, wasn't it?
It was in Libya, in Afghanistan, and in Mali.
Who else is interested in this deals-wise? Which other countries have come to?
Here in UAE, for example, we have a long outstanding cooperation with Air Force, with the Mirage 2000.
I was about to say, are they due to replace a lot of Mirage planes?
Well, it's up to them to decide when is going to be the time to replace. We have supported promotion of the Rafale. We still continue to promote the Rafale. We still continue to support the Mirage 2000-9, which is a very good aircraft. So it's a matter of timing, and it's up to the official to decide.
As we stand here between a manned aircraft and an unmanned aircraft, can one replace the other? I guess I'm talking, is this the complete future, the unmanned aircraft, or will a manned craft like this always have a place, do you think?
The UCAV will be part of the future, but I don't feel, but it's not up to us to say, it's the operational side to give the word, but I think that the type of fighters like Rafale will continue for a longer time, at least 50 years, for the French forces first, from others, and what I may guess is that a mix-up of UCAV and fighters could be the next generation system to address the modern war.
And that is it for another Counting the Cost special from the Dubai Airshow. Third time we've come down here, and we do enjoy it so much every time that we do. Back in the Doha studio again next week for a regular program. I'm Kamal Santamaria from the whole team. Thanks for joining us. The news is next here on Al Jazeera.